little bit of a policy conversation with opportunities, and then we'll do a call of action. And at that time, you'll get a QR code so that you can sign up to be a part of some of this amazing work. So I invite Goal 6 along with, I think that's our eval team, and Brooke, who's going to talk about our comms also. Sorry, I gave you the wrong thing.
So I'm going to briefly talk about the communications plan for Goal 6. So the communication plan for 2025 was to compile a lot of the resources that Equitable Working Group believes one is doing, so we could be able to communicate it in a way that the community could be able to digest, they would be able to take in, and as well as get involved. So the first thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to plan another sauna. So thank you all for being here. It makes me feel so good. But that was the thing, is we wanted to be able to bring everyone together, because a lot of individuals are working with particular goals and maybe not have heard about other goals. So that was one of the priorities. The second priority is to be able to get the communication of all the things that you've learned today to be able to take home with you. So yes, there's been a lot of QR codes. I know a lot of you have to scan now, but we just launched a website. So the website will, that's a lot. I do want to thank the Village Oak Creative. They were not able to be here today, but they worked with me and all the emails and all the meetings that we had to get this website live for you today. So if you go to blueprintforpeace.org, you'll be able to get all this information, plus more. There's also a event page that will have any of the events that are open to the public for you to attend, as well as just any information about organizations. This PowerPoint will probably be as well on the website for you to come back to, as well as any of the QR codes. So that was one of the big strategies, was to be able to make sure the communication was available for use. The key thing of all of it that I've gathered is that I really want to stress that the Blueprint for Peace communication plans is to build a shared public narrative for community safety. We want to be able to have the same language. We want to be able to, when you leave here and someone said, hey, what was the meeting that you were spent all morning doing? And you be able to take with that the same language for it all. So to be able to understand that it's all that matters is that we want to build a shared public narrative for community safety, no matter which goal you really get resonated with it and want to get aligned with. So for 2026, some of the communication priorities, as I mentioned, is launching the website. So that is still live for you to go to, but note that there's a lot of information that I still need to put on it. I just really wanted to make sure it was live for you today. We also are going to create some shared visuals as well as shared language for you all to be able to take with you. That'll be accessible on the website. Stories that centers lived experiences. We want to make sure that there are experiences that we can really capsulate, whether it's through a blog or a newsletter, just being able to really get that. So if you have any stories or want to potentially do a piece with me, let me know, and we can really highlight the work that you're doing, or just your lived experience within Kalamazoo, or Kalamazoo County in general. And then also, to give some progress, like quarterly progress. So the last time we did a summit was in 2024, it was the end of 2024. We want to make sure that you're reading information more than having to wait till next year when we do another summit. So we're gonna do quarterly newsletter, quarterly communications for you to all be able to do. So you should be able to go on the website right now. If you scroll to the very bottom, there will be a thing that says get in touch. Just put your email at that, and then once we start that, you'll be able to have access to that. There is monthly convenings and events that are happening. You will be able to check that out on the event page. And as I mentioned, it is blueprintforpeace.org. There is a QR code. I know I just mentioned QR code. There is a QR code for you to go to. The report that is on the table, the QR code that's on the table, as well as on that website, and it's you could be able to like scroll and view all of the information. And this just tells you what you can find on the website, which I already went over, but I mean, just picture, yeah, this. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Brooks. Thank you. Yeah, you can. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Andrea Allen with AC Insights, and I'm on the evaluation, measurement, evaluation and learning team with Ken Lana and Val Comparens from John Institute. And we were to increase evaluation capacity and accountability. So
It's the other button. You win. It's the big one.
the big, okay. So I just wanted to give you an overview of the way we're thinking about collective impact and how all the things related to measurement, evaluation, and learning are continually changing. So the work that the Blueprint did very early on when it was still situated in the Kalamazoo Community Foundation is there at number one, the socioeconomic political context, and really big picture, what are the needs? A couple of years ago, we hopped into this step number two, which is a collective impact model for really establishing a foundation now in the early years. Now, this is at least a 10-year vision of all the learning that needs to take place. So we have been concentrating on the learning related to common agenda, shared measurement, mutually reinforcing activities, the infrastructure of the backbone, and continuous communication. Now, essentially what we've been doing is a shared internal narrative of what's happening so we can figure out what's going on and how well it's going. Those needs for information and learning change over time, and it won't be until a couple more years that we can really start measuring the intermediate outcomes, the behavioral and systems changes that really kick into place that have an effect on maintaining a low incident rate, a low issue of traumatic situations that arise, and had a supportive infrastructure. And in the later years, actually being able to measure what happens, what with the impact that is long-lasting and sustainable. We're using initially a developmental and evaluation approach that really focuses on learning. So basically, all our team does is create the conditions, the space, and the encouragement for all the working groups to continue learning and reflect in the coordinating council, in their goal working groups, and figure out what did we learn and how can we adapt to these changes that have to happen all the time. So we just encourage that process, and we do so with keeping in mind equity and justice principles. So I'm going to speed through this, but basically each of those steps of the original foundation establishment have ways that we reflect, interrogate ourselves about how well we're doing. So an example would be with the backbone support here in Goal Working Group 6 down at the bottom. Is the backbone organization guiding, leading the process, or is it playing a supportive role? Are we equally serving institutional members and members of the community? So, and there's questions on all of these, and I'm going to hand it over to Val now to talk about the other areas of evaluation that we're doing.
That was good.
Hi there. I'm Val Comparens. I'm a research analyst at the Upjohn Institute, and I've been working with Dr. Ferguson and Dr. Allen since we formed in the beginning of 2025. I believe I may be the last speaker, or near to the last speaker.
One more.
I stand corrected. Well, with that, I will carry on and be brief. So you heard from Dr. Allen that we formed and did a lot of planning work to try to understand how we can evaluate this fantastic effort that you've been hearing about this morning. But we've been busy with other activities this year. In addition to planning, we've continued to make available, and I believe you heard Tia allude to this, data around gun violence incidents in our community. My eternal gratefulness goes out to the City of Kalamazoo and the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety for making this type of data transparency possible. But these reports we've been making publicly available throughout the year. They're available on MTC's website, although I imagine that they might be moving to the new Lucre. They're already on there, so I encourage you to check these out on a monthly basis to stay informed about what the trends are in our community. So this is a big part of our activities throughout this last year. So what we learned, as the Veteran Evaluation and Learning team, I feel like our learning has been a particularly happy one because it's a lot like what we've been doing here today, where we get to celebrate with organizations, community members about all of the great things that have been happening. What you can see along the top of this table here are the marching orders that Dr. Ferguson referred to at the beginning of our summit today. And along the leftmost column there, the bulwarking groups. So as you can see, you really heard for yourself how each group engaged in resource mapping, how they identified gaps, and then how they worked to fill those gaps with some sort of coordination strategy, and then implement that strategy in order to fill the gaps to help families, individuals, access safety and services in our area. So we're excited as a MEL team to continue on with these marching orders and support the hardball working groups and finding metrics to measure the progress that they've made on filling those gaps and improving services in our community. A little bit more on what is coming for the MEL team specifically. We're a group that really tends to dig in, and so I think that we're particularly excited about this stuff. But what you can see along the top there are those that early, middle, and late years that you heard Dr. Allen refer to. Again, all this underpinned by developmental evaluation. This effort, and I think you've seen it here in the room today, people joining recently, people encouraging you to start up. This is really a living, breathing effort. And so we as a team have felt that we need the evaluation style that lives and breathes along with that effort. So that's really been our ethos as we've approached this. So some of the things we're excited about in the years to come, continuing to work with groups to develop metrics and make those metrics publicly available along with other statistics that we think pertinent on public dashboards. More specifically and academically, we're interested in both qualitative and quantitative analyses, and you can see some of the names of those specifically below. And then finally, towards those later years, that formal impact evaluation informed by all the work that we're excited to do above. With that, I just want to leave you with a quote that speaks to the MEL team. We don't have to give up rigor to live into our values. Really, our values and rigor can coexist and nations support each other. So we're excited to engage with the community in this effort moving forward. Thank you so much for being here, for your time today.
And let me just say, if there are any research evaluators, people who like to learn how, like, this is such a fun group, we meet every 2 weeks. But if this is, and you have the resources within your organization, and you want to send someone to our MEL team meeting, we would love the support. We need the support. And we invite you to also consider joining Goal Area 6 as well. And so I'm going to shift our agenda real quick because we are at time and people need to leave. So I don't want to miss our opportunity to have you get involved. So we do still have a policy and advocacy lever that we want you to learn about and hear about, but I don't want to miss this opportunity. So we're just going to switch those around for the people who have to go sooner rather than later. And then Beth will round out our conversation with our policy opportunity. All right, so I invite you to honor us with a call of action.
Okay, y'all, so when I got the message or the call to say, will you do this? I didn't respond right away because my question was, can I keep it real? And she said, absolutely. And so I just want to say thank you all for being here. Thank you for all the community partners, KDPS, the city, the county, and some of those at the state level for helping us become a better Kalamazoo. There's a touchstone we say in our racial healing work: no language of the soul is privileged over any other language of the soul. Today I want to say it like this: No life is privileged over any other life in this community. As a community, we have been working on gun violence for a very long time. We have the work of GBI and now CVI. We have gathered the data. We have compiled reports. We have foot soldiers committed to working in our community. We have dedicated funding to help move the needle forward. We have declared gun violence as a public health crisis, yet we seem to be struggling in our quest to reduce or eliminate the effects of said crisis. Since 2020, we have been experiencing gun violence at a rate none of us could have fathomed. How is it that during the pandemic, when the entire world was shut down, we saw an influx of guns on our streets? The guns are not being found in Portage, Ashkamon, Comstock, Galesburg, Cooper Township, and I could go on, but I'll stop there. They are being found in our Black and brown neighborhoods, such as the North Side, the East Side, and Edison. Is this just a coincidence? I think not. Today is the day that we start having a hard conversation. You see, if we do not acknowledge the origin of our past, we will never be able to cure the man-made disease called racism. The gun violence we are living with today is systemic in nature. It is this generation's crack era. We must get down to the nitty-gritty. This is a hard thing to say, but it has to be said. We are all complicit in this situation, especially us that look like me, our Black and brown brothers and sisters. We have a responsibility to hold each other accountable in a way that only we can. We speak each other's language. It is not okay that we are shooting each other and not addressing it as a family, as a collective, as a unified body. No one is going to come and save us. There is no one person who could lead us to the promised land of safety and freedom. We must do this together. We, Black and brown brothers and sisters, must stand together in order to heal ourselves. We must close the divide. We have to set aside our egos. We have to truly see one another, not through our human eyes, but through God's eyes. Pastor James Harris said at the homegoing for Marcus Anderson, we are not fighting against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. It is time for all hands on deck. We need the entire community to understand the gravity of what gun violence is doing to our society. It is robbing us of our future judges, doctors, lawyers, teachers, scientists, philosophers, ministers, and the list goes on. Another nugget that Pastor James said, and he dropped on us, the enemy is not concerned about the person. He is concerned about the purpose. Change has never come from complacency. It has always come from people who decided that enough is enough. Is enough enough, y'all? Is enough enough? Let us choose courage over fear, action over silence, life over violence. The future of our youth and our world is worth fighting for. I want you all to say with me, we are better together. We are better together. We are the solution. We are the solution. We are better together. We are better together. We are the solution. We are the solution. Let's get out in these streets and handle this stuff, y'all. Let's do it. It's time. Thank you.
All right. Is this on? No. So Stephanie gave you the heart, and I'm going to give you the feet. So with all of that being said, we have to...
Keep going.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, so there have been a lot of wins and losses in the past 2 years. We're going to skip this. But I really want to underscore the fact that none of the work that we're doing is being done outside of the rest of the statewide work, the rest of the impacts of state decisions that are being made, federal systems that are harming our families. And every time we take a jump forward in funding something, RX Kids is a really good example of something that we've done incredibly well in this state and that other states are starting to replicate. And at the same time that we did that, we eliminated the Gray Star Collaboratives in Michigan. So we are pushing forward in some things and losing other things that we've had as a community for decades. So there was a reduction in home visiting funds last year in community. How are we going to continue to have more CHWs who are out community? We're going to get more and more people certified, but then we're going to lose funds to actually support those programs. So at the same time that we're taking huge leaps forward locally, we're also feeling the impacts of things that are happening at the state and federal budgets. The state budget outlook really sucks, sorry. We're getting less money in the state than we had previously predicted. Every year in January and May, there is a fiscal meeting that happens of all the smartest people for economists in the state. They determine how much money the state government has to actually distribute across state programs. Some of that was expected, but a lot of it is the impact of the federal One Big Beautiful Bill Act, of the state's share of the cost for Medicaid, SNAP, and other programs has changed. And so Michigan's costs for those programs are going up, which means the bucket of resources available for other things is going down. I could go into a lot of other reasons for all those things happening, but we're not going to. The governor's budget recommendation was really pretty and shiny, but it relies on passing new taxes, which will not make their way through the Michigan House, given our current context. The governor's statement did highlight the need for literacy for K-12, housing policies, and medical debt, which are all actually things that we think can get through the House, which is very exciting to see. What's missing is like earned sick time and minimum wage. I'll highlight the childcare stuff. Those things are causing impacts in the rest of our systems for small businesses, and none of those increased costs for small businesses are being addressed in the broader conversation around wage compression and the costs of running a program that supports families and community. If the state doesn't provide increased resources for all of those programs, all of those organizations that now have to pay a higher and higher and higher wage, if the state doesn't increase reimbursement rates, we're going to continue to see loss of access to care or resources for families. There is massive elections coming this year. As we know, every single statewide seat is up for election. Every seat in the House, every seat in the Senate, Attorney General, Secretary of State, and Governor, all of our members of Congress, and one state Senate seat, one U.S. Senate seat. We've never held this, all of these things on the ballot all at once. Whereas Michigan is very much embedded in these national conversations with national policies, a lot of our races are going to be impacted by the national conversation. But we do have a really weird thing happening right now with the governor's race in Michigan. We now have an independent candidate, which will really, really impact the outcome of the executive branch of the governor's election in Michigan. And the other thing to highlight is the Secretary of State and the Attorney General are not on the primary ballot. You may be getting texts, you may be getting emails from people who are running for Secretary of State and Attorney General. Those decisions are made at the conventions. The GOP convention is in March, it's defeat conventions in April, and if you're not a member of the party, you don't get to determine who is on the ballot in November for those statewide seats. That's the person who determines how we get to vote, when, where, and whether or not with the Attorney General, that's the person who determines whether or not we're fighting against executive orders. If we have someone at the top of the ticket for Attorney General who isn't going to fight against what's coming down at Washington, our families are going to suffer. So in all of the ways where our voices mattered, you heard C talk about the need for more people coming out to vote. This is something that we as a community, if you haven't already started thinking about how you and your organization are going to lift up people's voices and then information around when to vote, getting people's mailing ballots back, turned in, because everyone now, starting last year, every single person who has requested a statewide ballot in the prior election is going to now receive them for every election. We now have a permanent voter list for mail-in ballots. Everyone is going to get one. If they don't return them, they will lose their opportunity to have a voice in this space. Do have a special election coming up in May. KRESA special election for special education, as well as bonds in Cullen, Consett, Galesburg, Augusta, Ballawin, and Vicksburg. If you were paying attention last year, some of the three of those were on the ballot last year. It failed. So those school district bonds that are necessary for keeping up with the buildings that our kids go to school, the special education village provides funding to all of our local school districts. It's not KRESA money. It's the money that is necessary for our local school districts to actually provide services for special ed for kids in those schools. And then if you live in Portage, you got a trash proposal coming. Very exciting. You probably heard all that. So on your tables everywhere, there are 5 QR codes. There are 5 advocacy days coming up that we wanted to highlight. Income Mounds Michigan, Mounds Demand Action is on March 18th. The Michigan Education Justice Coalition is on March 19th. MISHWA, the Michigan Community Health Worker Association, is on the 14th. The Michigan Coalition to End Domestic and Sexual Violence is April 16th. And then the statewide CDI Advocacy Day. We haven't mentioned this yet today, but I think it's really important. MTC co-facilitates a statewide CDI advocacy coalition with Force Detroit. Those folks that the police officers were talking about, like, yeah, I call from Detroit because they said you were doing a really good job. MTC is co-facilitating a statewide advocacy coalition with them. And that advocacy day is a save the date of the QR code on your table. If you want to get on the list for the registration of that day, hit up that QR code. And then the and more is like, hey, we don't know everything. If your organization participates in an advocacy day, you'll notice there's nothing about housing up here. If you have an advocacy day coming up to make sure your voices are heard, send it to MTC. We send all of these things out around the county. And then lastly, on your tables, there is this cute little, like, who loves tiny things? Who really love tiny things? These stickers are, like, ridiculously adorable. Inside each one of these is a little piece of paper that has seeds in it. And as we think about the heart that Stephanie just asked us all to continue to have, and the work that we're all talking about in terms of growing our ability for our babies and our community to thrive, there's a little seed packet in here, and we're going to encourage you to take it home and help us grow Kalamazoo.
So thank you for those of you who decided to stay over just a little bit longer. I want to end by drawing our attention back to the interest form. Those of you who have already scanned will see that this is an opportunity for you just to say the work that you're most interested in and engaging in, and then we will follow up with you. You can even say, I don't really know, I just want to be involved, and we will definitely be following up with you. So thank you once again for joining us. Thanks for being a part of our community. Thanks for deciding to stay and think through how we all are going to prevent gun violence together. And we look forward to keeping you updated, seeing you in our goal working groups, and having more conversations around how we're going to create safety and thriving in Kalamazoo. So thank you, and I love you all.